Hey everyone, welcome back. Today we're diving deep into mastering analytics for product managers.
Ooh, data deep dive.
You know it. We've got all the good stuff from
Yeah.
the guide right here, ready to break it down. So whether you're like about to launch a big product
Right.
or just kind of curious about how data shapes all the apps and services we're all using every day, stick with us. We're going to extract all the juiciest, most actionable bits to help you make smarter decisions.
I think, one of the things that's so cool about this guide is it's not just like a theory dump.
Totally.
It's like really focused on like practical, tactical things you can do right away
I love
to improve your product. Yeah.
Okay, so let's jump right into it.
Yeah, let's go.
Module 1, customer segmentation.
Customer segmentation.
We're not talking about like organizing your sock drawer here,
Right.
though maybe there are some parallels.
Maybe.
But really, it's about understanding your users, right?
Yeah.
Grouping them based on some shared characteristics so you can make,
Yeah.
like way smarter product decisions.
Yeah, and like one of the most powerful approaches I think the guide highlights is this idea of jobs to be done segmentation,
Okay?
which is really about going beyond just like surface level demographics, right?
Right.
And really trying to understand like the why behind a customer's actions.
Oh, the why.
The why.
Okay, I like that.
Yeah.
So like, why did someone like download that language learning app?
Yeah, exactly.
It's not just, oh, I want to learn Italian. It's like, I want to go on a trip to Rome or, I need to impress this date.
Yeah.
Whatever it is.
Right.
I want to reconnect with my heritage. If you can figure out the why,
You can design for the why.
you can design for the why, then the product experience is just going to be that much better.
Way more powerful.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Okay, I like that. So the guide has this great example of like a ride-sharing app using segmentation to personalize their offerings.
Ooh, tell me more.
So they identify these two key groups. You've got your daily commuters, right?
Yeah?
Looking for something affordable, reliable, get me from A to B.
Totally.
And then you've got your weekend warriors now.
Ooh, interesting. Okay.
Looking for something fun, spontaneous.
Yeah.
Maybe a little bit more, of an experience.
Yeah. Like a different vibe.
Different vibe, totally. So they tailor their pricing, their promotions,
Right.
even the app's interface to cater to these two different segments. And guess what?
What?
Boosts customer satisfaction and revenue.
Boom. That's what we like to hear.
I know. It's a good reminder that like a one-size-fits-all approach rarely works,
Rarely works.
especially when you're building a product for, a whole bunch of different people.
Yeah, you got so many different people using your product for so many different reasons, so.
Exactly. Okay, so the guide also digs into,
Yeah.
it gives us some other types of segmentation.
Lay it on me.
So we've got demographic, like age, gender, location, all that good stuff.
Yep.
Behavioral, like past purchases, website activity. How are people actually using the thing? Psychographic.
Ooh, okay.
So we're talking like values, lifestyle,
Deep stuff.
deep stuff,
Yeah.
and then needs-based.
Okay.
Like what specific problems are they trying to solve?
Right. Makes sense.
What I really appreciate is that they give us like specific examples of each type.
Oh, nice.
So it's not just like jargon. It's like actually helps you understand how to apply it to your own product.
Love that.
One thing that stood out to me was the like do's and don'ts section.
Ooh, do's and don'ts. Yeah, what were some of the good ones?
Start simple.
Okay, start simple.
Avoid over-segmentation. Have you ever seen like a company really mess this up?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I once worked with a company that tried to segment their users. I think they had like 20 different categories.
Oh my God.
It was so complex, nobody could manage it.
Wow.
And they basically ended up not even using the segments to inform any of their decisions.
Yeah.
It was like analysis paralysis at its finest.
So start simple is the key takeaway there.
Simple.
Okay, moving on to module 2, cohort analysis. I feel like this is where things get a little like technical.
Ooh, getting into the weeds.
A little bit. But the guide does a good job of breaking it down. So basically it's about tracking groups of users over time.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
It's like following different classes
I like
as they move through their journey with your product.
I like that analogy. The classes, like,
Yeah, like freshman year or sophomore year.
freshman, sophomore, junior, senior.
Exactly. So imagine you launch like a new feature.
Okay. Yeah.
Cohort analysis lets you see if users who signed up after that launch are more engaged.
Right.
Maybe they stick around longer, maybe they spend more
Gotcha.
than those who like joined before that new feature.
So it's not just like looking at the overall numbers.
Yeah.
It's about understanding how like specific groups of users are reacting
Yes.
to these changes that you're making.
I'm so glad you said that, because that's exactly it. It's like, it's not just did the numbers go up. It's who are those numbers? Who are those users?
Who are those users?
And what does that tell us?
Totally.
So this feels super valuable for like measuring the long-term impact of like a redesign or a pricing change.
Oh, absolutely.
Anything big.
Yeah. For sure.
The guide gives a really compelling example
Ooh, tell me.
of a fitness app.
Okay.
So they're using cohort analysis, and they discover this retention problem.
Okay. There's always retention problems.
There's always a retention problem.
Especially with fitness apps.
Especially the fitness apps.
Yeah.
But they noticed that like a specific cohort, so users who signed up in like, let's say, March,
Okay.
had significantly lower retention than like the months before.
Interesting.
So they dig deeper.
Mm-hmm.
And they're like, oh, we changed our onboarding flow in March.
Uh-huh.
And that change was actually confusing new users
Oh, no.
and driving them away. They were able to pinpoint the issue
Okay.
because of cohort analysis
Ooh.
and quickly course correct.
That's great.
It's like, that's a great case study to me of how powerful this can be.
Right.
Like, you can find problems early on
Yeah.
and then make really data-driven decisions to improve your product.
For sure. For sure.
So they lay out like a clear process in the guide.
Okay. I like a good process.
I know.
Step by step.
Defining your cohort,
Mm-hmm.
choosing the right metrics,
Okay.
analyzing data over time,
Yep.
and most importantly,
Yes.
extracting insights that lead to action.
Yes.
So speaking of actionable insights,
Yes.
Module 3 dives into statistical significance.
Ooh, stats.
Yeah, here's where we get into like p-values and confidence intervals and all that.
Okay, getting a little more technical.
Yeah, it is. But think about it this way.
Okay.
You're running an experiment,
Mhm.
and you see a change in user behavior.
Right.
Statistical significance tells you, is this change because of something I did?
Gotcha.
Or is it just random chance?
Oh, okay. I like that. Yeah.
Like, it helps you avoid jumping to conclusions.
Right. You don't want to be like, oh, this is because of this. And it's like, no, that was just like random.
It was just a random Tuesday.
A random Tuesday, exactly.
So, like, maybe you see, you know, a slight uptick in conversions
Right.
after you change, like, a button color.
Mm-hmm.
But statistical significance will tell you if that's a real trend
Right.
or just a fluke.
Just a fluke.
And the guide emphasizes that, like, the level of statistical significance that you need really depends on the risk involved in the decision.
Oh, that's a good point.
So, like, if you're just testing a minor UI change,
Okay.
maybe a lower level of significance is okay.
Makes sense.
But if you're making, like, a huge pricing change that could tank your revenue,
Right. Yeah. You want to be really sure.
you want to be really sure.
Very sure.
Okay, so how do you actually determine this statistical significance?
Yeah. How do we do it?
The guide mentions, like, V-tests and T-tests.
Okay.
It gets a little technical, but the key takeaway, I think,
Yeah.
is that there are tools and formulas to help you calculate a p-value,
Right.
which is
Stuff
basically
like that.
the probability of observing your results
Okay.
if there was no real effect.
Right.
So if the p-value is below a certain threshold,
Mm-hmm.
usually 0.05, we can say that the results are statistically significant.
Oh, okay. 0.05. I've heard that before.
Yeah, you'll see that pop up a lot.
Okay.
So basically, if the p-value is low, you can be more confident that the changes you made are actually driving the results you're seeing.
Oh, okay. I like that. It's like a little confidence booster.
It is. And they highlight, like, some common pitfalls to avoid.
Okay, like what?
Like misinterpreting significance or, like, my favorite, confusing correlation with causation.
Oh, yes. Correlation versus causation. Everyone's favorite.
Which actually leads us perfectly into Module 4.
Ooh, set it up.
Correlation versus causation.
Let's do it.
This is like classic data analysis 101.
Yeah, for sure.
But people mess it up all the time.
All the time.
So,
Tell me, break it down.
just because two things happen together doesn't
Yeah.
mean one caused the other.
Right.
The guide gives a great example.
Okay, I love a good example.
Ice cream sales and shark attacks.
Ice cream sales and shark attacks. What?
They tend to both rise and fall at the same time.
Okay. Interesting.
But obviously,
yeah,
one doesn't cause the other.
obviously not.
What's the hidden factor?
I'm waiting.
Summertime.
Just for your time.
More people eat ice cream in the summer.
Right.
More people swim in the ocean in the summer.
Right. More people, more sharks.
More sharks.
Okay.
So it's such a clear illustration
Yeah, that is a good one.
It's a good reminder to dig deeper, look for those like underlying factors that might be influencing your data.
Absolutely. You can't just take it at face value.
No, exactly. So as product managers, we can't just assume causation based on like surface level trends.
No, we got to dig deeper.
We got to be detectives, not just data crunchers.
Data detectives. Love it.
So they give us some techniques for identifying like true causation,
Okay, yeah.
like running controlled experiments.
Oh, okay.
A/B
Yep.
testing, classic example.
Right, the class.
You isolate the specific variable
Yeah.
and you see if it really makes a difference.
Okay, so you're controlling for everything else.
Exactly. It's like creating a controlled environment.
Right, a little lab experiment.
Yes. So now they emphasize that causation requires the cause to happen before the effect.
Oh, okay. Time is important.
Time is very important.
So if you see engagement going up,
Yeah.
but like the feature hasn't launched yet,
Yeah.
then it's obviously not because of the feature.
Obviously.
All right, okay, makes sense.
So we got to pay attention to like timing and sequence when we're analyzing all this.
Time is everything.
Time is everything.
Okay. What other common pitfalls?
Oh, they talk about spurious correlations where like two things seem related just by pure coincidence.
Oh, okay.
Like your app downloads spike
Mm-hmm.
on days when the stock market is up.
Okay.
Probably no real connection,
Probably not.
but it might feel like there is.
Right. You're like, oh, what's going on here?
Exactly.
Hmm.
They also mentioned like reverse causation,
Oh, okay.
where we just assume the wrong direction of the relationship.
Gotcha.
Like maybe you think high engagement
Yeah.
causes users to explore like advanced features
Right.
when it's actually like
The other way around.
they were exploring the features.
Right.
And that led to higher engagement.
Gotcha.
And then, of course, confounders.
Oh, confounder.
Those pesky external factors that can influence like both of the variables you're looking at.
Mm.
So maybe you see like an increase in both new users and revenue,
Right.
but it's actually like a successful marketing campaign.
Oh,
Not because like suddenly everyone loves your product.
right.
You know,
It's the marketing.
it's the marketing. It's a good reminder to consider like the broader context,
Yeah, context is key.
not just like isolated data points.
Totally.
And they give this really interesting example of like a streaming service.
Okay.
They're using A/B testing to figure out if watching trailers actually leads to higher subscriptions.
Interesting.
It's a great case study of like testing those assumptions,
Yeah,
really getting to like the heart of causation.
for sure. Okay, ready to move on.
I think so. Lead and lagging indicators. Here we come.
Let's do it.
Module 5. I feel like we're building into something really important here.
Okay, I'm excited. Okay, so Module 5, all about leading versus lagging indicators. And the guide makes this analogy. It's like driving a car, right?
Okay.
Leading indicators are like you're looking at your speedometer, gives you like real-time feedback, you can adjust your speed.
Mhm.
Whereas lagging indicators, it's like you're checking your rear view mirror, you're seeing like where you've been.
Okay, I'm getting that.
Yeah.
So leading indicators help you be proactive. Lagging indicators are more like telling the story of what's already happened.
Exactly. So leading indicators are really focused on like those inputs, those activities that drive those future outcomes.
Okay.
Whereas lagging indicators measure the results of those efforts. So for example, like daily active users, right? How often are people using a specific feature? Those are leading indicators.
Gotcha.
Retention rates, your overall revenue, those are lagging indicators.
So as a product manager, you got to keep an eye on both.
You got to keep an eye on both, absolutely. You need both types of indicators to get the full picture right.
Yeah.
Leading indicators are going to help you kind of steer the ship, make those course corrections along the way.
All right.
Lagging indicators tell you if you're ultimately reaching your destination.
I like that. So the guide lays out like a 4-step process
Mhm.
for using these indicators effectively. Step 1, you identify your goal.
Mm-hmm.
Let's say you want to increase user retention.
Okay, yeah, classical.
Classic goal. But that's a lagging indicator, right?
Right, because it's like a result that you're aiming for.
Exactly.
So then step 2, you have to figure out like what are those leading indicators that might actually predict or influence that outcome.
Yeah.
So for retention, you might look at things like onboarding completion rates, how often people are logging in, are they using those key features that suggest they're actually getting value from your product?
Got it. So then step 3 is track those leading indicators regularly.
Regularly, yeah. You want to catch any of those warning signs early on.
Makes sense. Like if you see your onboarding completion rate just like plummet, you know something's up.
You know something's up, exactly. That's a pretty good indicator that your retention rates might suffer down the line.
And that brings us to step 4. Use those leading indicators to experiment, make adjustments to your strategy. The guide had this example of a company. They're trying to increase their trial-to-paid conversions.
Okay, classic.
Classic.
Yeah.
So they started sending more frequent free trial reminders.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Like little nudges. Hey, you're running out of time.
Yeah. Don't forget about us.
Exactly. Exactly. So they could track that conversion rate, right, as a leading indicator to see if those reminders were actually working.
Okay.
Before the impact shows up in the revenue numbers.
Which would be the lagging indicator.
Which is lagging, exactly.
Oh, I like that.
That's a perfect example. So the guide also had some, really good do's and don'ts.
Ooh, do's and don'ts always.
For working with these indicators.
Yeah.
One of the biggest ones for me was, tie your indicators to your specific goals.
Oh, yeah.
That's so important.
So easy to get caught up in tracking a bunch of metrics.
Right, you can go down the rabbit hole.
Oh, yeah. Vanity metrics. But if they're not aligned with what you're actually trying to achieve.
Right, it doesn't matter. They don't matter. It's about focusing on what matters.
Focus on what matters. And also, it's not enough to just, passively observe those leading indicators, right? If a leading indicator is flashing red, maybe you see that sudden drop in engagement with a key feature.
Yeah.
You got to take action, figure out what's going on. Don't wait for those lagging indicators to tank before you make a move.
Be proactive, not reactive.
Exactly.
Address those problems before they become, major setbacks.
I love it. But, and I think this is important to remember, leading indicators, they're not a crystal ball.
Right.
They give you a sense of where things are headed.
Yeah.
But they don't guarantee those future outcomes.
Yeah.
That's why it's so important to, validate any changes that you make by continuing to monitor those lagging indicators over time.
Okay, so keep checking in.
Keep checking in, yeah. So, maybe your new onboarding flow is looking really promising based on that, early engagement.
Yeah.
But does it actually lead to higher long-term retention?
Right. That's what your lagging indicators will tell you.
Okay, so we need both.
We need both.
I'm really starting to see how all these concepts we've talked about, the segmentation, cohort analysis, statistical significance, correlation, causation, and now leading and lagging indicators.
Yeah.
It's they all fit together like pieces of a puzzle.
It's all connected.
They give you this amazing framework for making smarter data-driven decisions as a product manager.
You got it. The guide actually wraps up with this real-world example. It's a fitness app. They were using leading and lagging indicators to boost their 90-day retention rate.
Okay.
So they identified some leading indicators like completing the onboarding process, how often people were logging workouts, and if they were engaging with those personalized training plans.
Okay, so people are actually using the thing.
They're using the thing.
Right.
So by focusing on improving those leading indicators, they were able to increase their 90-day retention rate from 60% to 75%.
Wow, that's a huge jump. It's a big jump. So it's a really great example of how powerful this approach can be.
Amazing. Okay, so we've journeyed through all 5 modules of Mastering Analytics for Product Managers.
Ooh, we did it.
We did it. I feel like I've leveled up my data skills. What about you?
Oh, absolutely, for sure.
But before we wrap things up, I'd love to hear, what stood out to you the most from this whole deep dive?
Ooh, that's a good question.
What are you going to take back to your work?
Yeah, what am I going to use tomorrow?
Yeah, what are you going to use on Monday morning?
For me, it's really the emphasis on understanding the why behind the numbers, right?
And why?
The why. It's not just about tracking metrics blindly, right? It's about using the data to actually understand your users, their motivations, their needs. That's what lets you build truly successful products.
It's about using data to tell a story, not just crunch numbers.
Not just number crunching, yeah. And I also really appreciate that the guide takes such a practical approach.
Yep.
They didn't just explain the concepts in this really theoretical way. They gave us concrete examples, step-by-step processes. They even highlighted those common pitfalls to avoid.
Right.
It felt like they were really anticipating the questions and the challenges that real product managers face every single day.
Yeah, it felt very actionable.
Very actionable.
Like something you could pick up and use right away.
Absolutely.
Okay, before we sign off, I have one final question for you.
Okay.
And for everyone listening, think about a key metric that you track in your own work.
Okay.
Maybe it's user engagement. Maybe it's conversion rates. Maybe it's customer satisfaction. Ask yourself, is this metric a leading indicator or a lagging indicator?
Ooh, good question.
Because if you realize, like, oh, my go-to metric is actually a lagging indicator,
Yeah.
that means you're only seeing the results of decisions you made in the past.
Right.
To really make a difference, to move the needle,
Yeah.
you got to identify those leading indicators that influence that lagging metric and start tracking those proactively.
Be proactive.
Be proactive. It's like shifting your focus from the rearview mirror to the speedometer.
I love that. Yeah.
You get to be in the driver's seat, making adjustments in real time
Yeah.
instead of just reacting to what's already happened.
You're in control.
You're in control.
Yeah.
And this deep dive has given us the tools to do that.
Yes.
We learned how to segment our users, track their behavior over time, validate our assumptions using that statistical significance,
Great.
distinguish correlation from causation,
So important.
and use leading and lagging indicators to steer our products towards success.
We did it all.
We did it all.
I did.
I feel like we've unlocked a whole new level of data-driven decision-making.
For sure.
And the best part is, like, these concepts can be applied to pretty much any product or industry.
Absolutely. It doesn't matter what you're building, these principles apply.
Whether you're building a mobile app, a SaaS platform,
Right.
even a physical product,
Yep.
these principles can help you make smarter choices, create better experiences for your users.
100%.
And it's not just about becoming a data whiz.
Yeah.
It's about using data to make a real impact,
Yes.
to solve problems, to meet user needs,
Right.
create products that truly make a difference in the world.
I love that. Because at the end of the day, data is just a tool.
Yeah?
It's the human insights, the empathy, the creativity that we bring to the table.
Yeah.
That's what really makes the magic happen.
So true. So to everyone listening, we encourage you to keep exploring, keep experimenting,
Yeah.
keep challenging yourself to think critically about data. It's an ongoing journey, but it's filled with like incredible insights and possibilities.
And who knows, maybe the next time we do a deep dive like this, one of you will be the expert sharing your data-driven success stories.
Ooh, I love that. That's what we love to see.
Yes.
All right, so until next time, happy analyzing, and may your data always lead you to brilliant insights.
Bye, everyone.